Okay, so today here's how I'm gonna unlock your content. Okay, it's not in a vault, it's not behind a steel door, it's not guarded by a bouncer. It's basically right in front of you every single day. And I'm not only going to show you how to unlock it, I'm going to show you how to use it. I think businesses are asking the wrong question and they're doing it every single day. I hear somebody say, "What should we post today?" And I want to throw myself off of a bridge. What should we post today is the wrong question, because the next 100 pieces of content your business needs already exist. They're just trapped inside your business. Not inside your social media calendar. It's inside your conversations, your meetings, your customer questions. It's inside your mistakes, but it's also inside your wins, your emails, your onboarding process, your proposals. The problem isn't that you don't have enough content. The problem is you've never learned how to extract it. Imagine if I walked into your office tomorrow and I recorded every single sales call, customer meeting, onboarding session, strategy meeting, every objection you answered, and every success story your customers told, every lesson your team has learned since the course of doing business. Do you honestly believe after 1 month I'd walk away saying, "Whew, sorry guys, there just wasn't anything worth talking about"? Of course not. I'd probably leave with enough material to produce an entire year's worth of content, which means your problem has never been ideas. Your problem has been documentation. And today, we're going to unlock that for you. Welcome back to the Content Machine. This is a follow-up media podcast. It is number 7 in our series. My name is Khristian Lee. I'm the CEO of Follow Up Media. We are a full-service creative-led agency and production powerhouse. We handle our clients' content distribution, strategy ideas, pay-per-click campaigns. We also own and operate 4 studio locations and growing in Atlanta, Georgia, around the perimeter. If you've ever been to Atlanta, it's one big circle. I want to get right into it. Today's conversation might be the single biggest mindset shift we've covered so far, because I genuinely believe most businesses are solving the wrong problem. They think we need a better marketing agency. We need a better editor. We need more social posts. We need better AI. And all those things could possibly be true. And actually, they probably are. But maybe you already possess the most valuable marketing asset imaginable. You've just never unlocked it. And that's what we're doing right now. Jonah, I think that was kind of a repeat. Take out that last section and go, because I kind of set it up with the cold open. So go right into this hook after I talked about the studios. Here's the biggest lie in marketing, and it's that creativity creates great content. Guess what? It doesn't. Observation does. Every time somebody tells me, "I don't know what to post," I hear something completely different. I haven't been paying attention. Because you see, content doesn't appear out of thin air. It's not magic, it is an inspiration, and it isn't waiting on the perfect idea to come to you while you're taking a shower. Because that's where I sing. It's where I reserve that right. Content is simply captured expertise. Let's imagine 2 companies. Company A, every Monday morning, they gather around a conference table, they brainstorm. What should we post this week? Someone says, maybe we should do a motivational quote. And someone else is going to say, what about National Donut Day? Someone suggests another trending audio. An hour later, they have 6 mediocre ideas. Company B, they never brainstorm. Ever. Instead, every customer question gets recorded. Every objection gets documented. Every sales call summarized. Every mistake truly gets discussed. And every client's success becomes a case study. Every interesting email becomes a future article. And at the end of the week, they didn't create content. All they did was discover it. Those 2 businesses might look identical from the outside, but one is hunting for ideas and the other one is mining for gold. And here's the interesting thing about gold. You don't create it, you uncover it. And that's exactly what expertise is. It's already there. Your job isn't to invent it. Your job is to expose it. Now here, we always use some real world examples. Let's use the financial advisor. A client asks, when should I start taking Social Security? That's content. Another client asks, should I pay off my house before retirement? That's content. Should I invest during market volatility? That's content. One afternoon, 3 meetings, 3 future YouTube videos, 3 LinkedIn posts, 3 shorts, 3 newsletters, 1 podcast episode, and 1 FAQ. No brainstorming required. Let's use an HVAC company. Let's mix it up. How long should an AC last? Content. Should I repair or replace? Content. Why is one room hotter than hell and the other one colder than a blizzard? Content. Again, no brainstorming, just active listening. And I get these objections from time to time. But our industry isn't that interesting. Really? Do you think that? Your customers ask questions every single day, and if they're asking, other people are wondering. The best content isn't invented. It's simply remembered. Remember that. Now here's where it gets dangerous, because if you never capture that knowledge, it's going to disappear forever. Every day your company loses expertise. Not because employees quit, because conversations will disappear, and you'll never remember them. Think about yesterday. How many conversations happened inside your business? 5, 20, 100? Now answer this question. How many of those conversations still exist today? Almost none. It's pretty terrifying, because somewhere yesterday, someone on your team probably explained something brilliantly. Someone handled an objection perfectly. Someone solved a customer's problem flawlessly. And someone explained pricing in a way that instantly made sense. Someone simplified a complicated process, and today it is gone. Nobody recorded it, nobody wrote it down, nobody turned it into content, nobody added it to training, nobody fed it to AI, and definitely nobody put it on the website. Nobody made a video, nobody clipped it, nobody preserved it. Imagine hiring the smartest consultant in the world, paying them $1 million, listening carefully to everything they teach, then lighting your notebook on fire every evening. That's what businesses do every single day. They generate valuable intellectual property and then they just let it vanish. Because why? They're too busy. And they haven't put the systems in place to secure it. Here's a real world example. Let's say you're an attorney and you answer that same question. What happens after an accident? 20 times this month. 20 explanations, 20 opportunities. Instead, you answered it 20 separate times. What if the first answer became a YouTube video, a short, a blog, a downloadable guide, an email sequence, an AI knowledge article, a website FAQ? Now the second client gets the benefit, and the third, and the 1,000th. That is what we call leverage. And you want to leverage everything. Once again, we'll have an objection. We don't have time. You're already having the conversations. We're not asking you to create more work. We're asking you to stop throwing the work away. Your business creates intellectual property every single day. And the question is, are you capturing it or are you burying it? So if all of this expertise already exists, how do you actually extract it without turning your team into a full-time content creator or creators? And that's where the system begins. Here's where businesses accidentally make content 10 times harder than it has to be. And if you think every piece of content needs a brand new idea, it definitely doesn't. One good conversation is already dozens of ideas. So let's imagine I'm sitting with a financial advisor. A prospect asks, should I stop investing until the market settles down? Now, most advisors answer the question, shake hands and move on, conversation over, gone forever. Just part of the daily routine. But what if that conversation wasn't the end? What if it was just the beginning? That one answer becomes a podcast discussing emotional investing. Inside that podcast is a 3-minute explanation, okay? And that becomes a YouTube video. Inside that video is a 30-second clip answering that exact question. That clip becomes an Instagram reel. That transcript becomes a blog. The blog becomes this week's newsletter. The key takeaway becomes a LinkedIn post. and the objection becomes an FAQ on the website. The transcript gets added to your AI knowledge base. Now imagine you have 5 conversations like that every week. You don't have a content shortage. You have an absolute capture shortage. That's a completely different problem to solve, and it's a good one because there's always room to grow and improve. And here's what most businesses miss. The value isn't in the recording. The value is in the extraction. Because buried inside every conversation are stories, frameworks, objections, analogies, customer language, pricing discussions, and emotional moments. Those are the assets. The recording is simply where you found them. A realtor hears, should I buy now or wait? That's not one answer. That's 6 months of content. An attorney hears, should I call insurance first? That's not one FAQ. That's a YouTube series. An HVAC company hears, repair or replace. That is a downloadable buying guide. And a commercial real estate broker hears, should I buy or lease? Could be a webinar, a podcast, article, and sales presentation. And here goes the objection. But, what if I answer the same question twice? Good. You should. Because your audience is going to change every day, every week, every month, every year. The people who watched the video 6 months ago aren't the only people who need the answer today. Most companies think content begins with publishing. It doesn't. Content begins the moment someone asks a great question. Which raises another question. How do you know which conversations are worth capturing? And the answer is pretty simple. Your customers tell you every single day. If you're wondering what to post next, stop asking yourself and just start listening to your customers. One of the biggest mistakes businesses make is creating content they want to talk about. Nobody cares what you want to talk about. Instead of content their customers desperately want answered. That's your first pulse. That's your first gauge on content. Is this valuable to my customers? Your customer has already built your editorial calendar. You just haven't written it down. Think about your inbox, your phone calls, your DMs. Every question that comes in is market research. Every objection is a request for content. Every misunderstanding is a future video. If 10 people ask, how much does it cost? I know you might think it's annoyance. I know you might think it's annoying, but it's an episode. If clients are constantly asking you, how long does this take? That's your next YouTube video. If everybody asks, what's the difference between these two services? Congratulations. You just found your next blog, newsletter, FAQ, and reel. Businesses will spend thousands of dollars trying to figure out what their audience wants. Meanwhile, their audience emails them the answer every single day. The market isn't hiding the questions. You're just ignoring them. Just pay attention. Document it. Think as you're having these conversations, how can I best use this as an asset? For a financial advisor, if they get asked, should I convert to a Roth? It's a podcast. An attorney, what happens after mediation? A video. If you're a contractor, how long until construction starts? That is a blog. If you're in the medical field, does insurance cover this? It's a perfect short. And here's an objection. But we've answered that question 100 times. Exactly. And guess what? You're going to still have to answer that question. That's why it belongs online. If you've answered it 100 times privately, it's probably worth answering once publicly and letting it compound. The best content strategy isn't brainstorming. It is simply paying attention. Now we've identified all these ideas, but there's still one huge problem. Even if you know what to capture, most businesses don't have a system for capturing it. Do you want to know the difference between a business and a winning business? Most businesses treat content like it's an event. Okay, we've got 2 posts going out and scheduled, but winning businesses treat documentation like a habit. It's probably going to take you 21 days to form that habit. Here, I got to tell you this. This is what changed my thinking forever. We don't actually schedule creativity. We schedule documentation. Those two are completely different things. If you tell your team, let's be creative next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, good fucking luck. But if you tell your team every client call gets summarized, every objection logged, every success story captured, and every meeting gets recorded, now you've built a system. Systems will outperform inspiration every single time because inspiration fades. The companies that dominate the content aren't more creative than you. They're not. They're simply collecting more raw material. Think about a documentary filmmaker. They don't wait until editing to create the story. They spend months gathering footage, interviews, B-roll, moments, conversations, and then what they do is they assemble it into something meaningful, a story. Your business works the exact same way. Every conversation is footage. Every meeting is footage. Every client's success, guess what? Yeah, footage. Every objection, you got it. It's footage, and your job isn't to invent. It's simply to collect. Because once you have enough material, creating content stops feeling difficult and it's going to start feeling inevitable. I know you're waiting on the objection. We don't have enough time. You're not adding work. You're preserving work you've already done. Once again, the companies winning with content aren't creating more knowledge. They're wasting less of the knowledge they already have. And here's the thing. Everything we've talked about so far was possible 10 years ago. But today there's one massive advantage that changes everything. And that is the big subject around every water cooler threatening people's jobs, apparently, the fear of AI, artificial intelligence. And here's where most businesses just simply misunderstand it completely. Your feeds are littered with it. At least mine are. Everybody keeps asking, how do I use AI to create content? And, for some people, they'll just go and chat GPT or Claude and they'll say, hey, create me some content, right? I think that's the wrong question. The better question is, what have I taught AI about our individual business? And now your business is part of an industry. And there are some broad things and information out there that AI can pick up about your industry, financial advisor, attorney, medical. But your business does have a unique factor to it, and it's you, right? Your story, your experience, what you've seen, how you handle your customers. And see, AI is probably the most misunderstood business tool I've seen ever. People expect it to replace thinking, like it's going to replace creativity and experience and strategy. But that's not what it's best at. AI is simply an amplifier. If you plug in a world-class musician, it sounds fucking incredible. If you plug in someone who's never touched a guitar, the amplifier doesn't magically create talent. It just makes the noise louder. AI is going to work the same way. If you've documented years of customer questions, AI can help organize them. If you've built a library of podcasts, AI can help repurpose them. And if you've created case studies, guess what? AI can summarize them. If you've documented your sales process, AI can help train your team. But if nothing has been documented, AI has nothing meaningful to amplify. This is why so many businesses are disappointed. They expected AI to create expertise. Instead, it exposed that they never documented it. And let's make this just practical for a second. Imagine two accounting firms. Firm A has a 5-page website. That's it. Firm B has 5 years of podcasts, tax guides, client questions, internal SOPs, training videos, newsletters, process documentation, and recorded consultations. Which business could build a more useful AI assistant? Yeah, you get it. Which business could answer client questions even faster? And which businesses could onboard employees quicker? Right? Which business could create content in minutes instead of days? The difference isn't the AI. The difference is the knowledge behind it. A law firm with hundreds of documented client questions can build an AI intake assistant that actually reflects how the firm thinks. An IT company with years of documented troubleshooting processes can create internal AI support for technicians. And a financial advisor with years of market commentary can create an AI assistant that reflects their investment philosophy instead of generic internet advice. And here's an objection, but AI writes amazing content. Okay, it writes amazing content when you're giving it amazing material. Otherwise, it writes generic, run-of-the-mill content that sounds like everybody else. Do you want to stand out, or do you want to sound like everybody else? And don't get me started on AI-created brochures or postcards or branding graphics. It looks like shit, and it's devaluing your brand and your company. I would not put that stuff out because everybody sees right through it. And you think it might be easy? And I know I'm going off on a whole separate topic, but it's reducing your authority. That's how easy it is. And your brand, and your leadership, and why people should trust you, because you're phoning it in. Don't. Sorry, it's my soapbox rant. You see, the companies that win with AI won't be the ones using the best prompts. They'll be the ones who built the deepest knowledge library to base it off of. Which brings us to something even bigger than marketing. What if every conversation inside your company made the company smarter forever? There is no doubt every business has smart people. Very few businesses know how to keep them smart after they walk out of the room. One of the biggest risks in any company isn't losing a customer. It should be losing knowledge. Think about the employee who's been with your company for 10 years. They know exactly how to calm an upset customer down. They know exactly how to explain pricing without creating sticker shock. They know the questions prospects ask before they buy. And they know the mistakes new customers make. Now imagine they leave. How much of that knowledge is going to leave with them? Probably more than you'd like to admit. Because a lot of times you go, well, damn, now I got to replace him. I've got to train somebody else and then try to bring them over time up to the speed of the former employee. You see, that's why most businesses store expertise in people instead of systems. They rely on the employee with all that knowledge and know-how and experience, instead of extracting that content that they know and creating training manuals. The smartest organizations do the opposite. Every important lesson gets captured, every successful sales call reviewed, and every unusual customer objection is going to get documented. Every process improvement gets added to the playbook, and over time, the company develops what I call a second brain. Not one person's knowledge, the organization's knowledge. And that changes everything. Now new employees don't start from zero. They start from 10 years of documented experience. AI becomes smarter, training becomes faster, marketing becomes more authentic and effective, and customer service becomes more consistent. Because the company isn't relying on memory anymore. It's relying on a living knowledge system. Imagine onboarding a new salesperson, traditional company. Shadow Jim for 2 weeks. Second brain company. Here's the best 200 sales calls we've ever had. Here's every objection we've documented. Here's the pricing explanations that convert. And here's our best discovery questions. Who gets productive faster? Okay, an objection. Hey, we're too small for that. No, you're actually the perfect size. Because it's easier to build the habit now than after you've grown to 50 and 100 employees. The most valuable employee in your company should be your documented knowledge. Jim, who's been there from the beginning of time, you should be extracting data and information from him on a daily basis and turning it into content. Documenting expertise isn't the goal. It's what happens after the documentation compounds. All right, so let's go back to where we started. The vault of documentation. At the beginning of the episode, it was locked. Where's our content? And through this episode, we showed you that it is in front of you every single day. Right in front of you in your living, breathing business. Through your sales team, through your employees, through your assistant, everywhere. And even more importantly, through your customers. Document it. Turn it into systems. That is where you will tap into a never-ending content stream. And then put it out there. Turn it in and repurpose it. because that's what your customers will consume. That is how you establish your authority, build your customer database, educate your customers to do exactly the actions that make your business money and set you up for the future. And it's not content just for the sake of creating content. It's content that is valuable to those that are engaged with your organization. This is the Content Machine, and this is Follow Up Media. Thanks for joining our podcast. See the episode description for all of our information. If you want to reach out, get in touch with us, it's all right there. Leave a comment, we will respond. If you have a question, send it through. We'll answer it. Subscribe. Like us on all the platforms, hit us up on YouTube, just hit notify once you subscribe so you'll get updated and alerted when we launch or drop a new piece of content. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you got something out of it, and this will benefit your business in many ways. Just know, your expertise is already worth millions of dollars. The question is, will you leave it locked? Or will you build a machine that compounds on that knowledge and expertise every single day? That's the question.